We're back. There's a little bit of a interruption on the. Here we are, episode 153 of Live Drawing. We'll do a quick update first on the Undersea Hero stuff. I have all the pages scanned. I had everything prepared for flat colors. I'll be getting those out to the team this week by the end of the week. I've done a little bit of coloring, but like all the pages are ready to go. I haven't started lettering, but I will once I get the pages off. And then I'll get to work on finishing the, the surveys for the Kickstarter. Here's a piece I did color. I haven't posted it. This is that piece that I finished that we did on the stream. You can zoom in and you can see that I used the retro colors. And this will be for merchandise. It's got a pretty flat background so that it can, I can peel the figure off and use it for anything. But that's the first color piece of artwork that's done. And I did that to, get the feet moving. And I'll be able to use that on like stickers and t-shirts or whatever. It's designed to be like merchandise art and style guide art and that kind of stuff. But here's our sketch cover that we worked on last week. I've been chipping away at it here and there when I have time, which, as you can see, isn't all that often. I've been reading old issues of the X-Men too, so like here's a nice beat-up dollar comic that I got ages ago. So fix the screen. There we go. Good old Dave Cockrum, Joe Rubinstein, Chris Claremont, I think Glynis Wein and Tom Orzechowski. But yeah, I'm sure I got this for 50 cents, 30 years ago. This one's a little nicer. It's in a little better shape, but I can't imagine I paid more than a couple bucks for it back in the day. But I was just reading some of these Dave Cockrum. When he came back, he started the new X-Men, left, Byrne took over, and then Byrne left, and he came back with Joe Rubinstein doing the inks. Yeah, Glynis Wein, that was right. Good stuff. Well, that recaps what I've been reading and where we are at Undersea Hero. So anybody who came in to just get the Kickstarter update, that was the update. And we're going to get to work on trying to make the sketch cover get finished. And it will be raffled off. So let's try This paper was not taking the brush well. We're going to have to go back in with some white out and pull out the hair highlights that we want. Hey, Martha's. Yeah, we're doing okay. It's a little warm in the studio tonight, but maybe see if opening the window helps. Probably won't because it's hot outside. How are things with you? I'm sorry to hear that. Hope, in the words of our friend who pops in from time to time, I hope things get better for you. Today I've been kind of off, just trouble focusing, trouble getting out the door this morning. For Art Fight. Yeah. Was it a subject you're not keen on or something this week? This pen tip is busted. Let's see if we can find one that's not busted. That's a bummer. Sorry, it's not what you were hoping for this evening. Yeah, I don't have my A game today. I don't know why. I just didn't sleep well last night or something. Social media drama. Yeah, I've definitely backed off from social media. I used to post and comment often, and I'll be honest, it has been a good thing for me to be away from it. Don't want to be too online. Gotta be online enough to be aware and do my job and those things, but there is such thing as too much of that. I've been helping out a friend of mine with one of their comics projects, so that's been some of my very little spare time. But it seems like a fun challenge, so nothing major. I was just helping with some tones. I don't know what that comment means. The Draw Comic Live so on in USA. I don't know what that comment means. So from Easy Drawings, draw other people's skills that they post, but some of them have some high demands and that they keep changing or they redesign their character, delete their characters, hard to work around when you have episodes with recurring or multiple characters. Yeah, that sounds like it's challenging. I take it you like drawing other people's characters. Like it's rewarding for you creatively to do that. Yeah, some people are really particular about how their characters are drawn. And actually, NEC, who I worked with for a very long time, was very particular about the tick. Like they had very specific things that they had that you had to hit, you know. And then like when I did animated adventures for Ninja Turtles, like that was following a style guide, and it had to be very precise. Um, However, on the contrary, whenever I had any of my friends or hire artists to draw any of my characters, I basically gave them free reign as long as it was identifiable, and I trusted them as an artist to figure out how to do that in their own way. And you know, I always celebrated the differences. The only rule was is you just couldn't kill off the main character. That was it, and no like permanent damage to be done. Like, you know, my Acts of Helena book is a fantasy book, so she's always getting into big fights with monsters and stuff. Yeah, you know, as far as my online interactions go, I don't generally talk politics because I don't think that talking about them online is a good way to make any headway with that stuff. So happy to talk about things in person. Just online, it's just a waste of everyone's time. I just, at least for me, it is. I don't, and maybe other people have find it rewarding and successful or enjoy it or whatever. Then by all means, go and enjoy. Why did I do that? Yeah, no, and I've paid like you know, one of the best versions of Helena I haven't been able to publish yet because I haven't put out a book in a while. Of her stories is by an artist named Yvel Guichet, and he's an artist who worked at Valiant, Marvel, DC, and all the big companies. And he just drew just such an I gave him no instruction. I was just like, "Here's my budget, do what you like," and he just did this knockout piece. And I've got another one by an artist named Pietro, who draws so different from like any mainstream artist, and it's just hauntingly pretty stuff. I can't wait to publish those pieces once I can put out another book of her adventures. Because they're both cover worthy. That's the thing. Like they're so good. Like I think I just asked them for a pinup, and they were like, "Oh no, we're gonna go full board." So that's it. And some a lot of the ideas I had I can't use, or if I use them, I step on someone's toes. Yeah, it's tough when you're playing with other people's toys. It is. You've got your own characters though, so you can still draw what you want. I think, right? Today was really just a get through the day as far as how I was physically feeling. Like everything, you know, work wise was fine. Things have been going well. I just wasn't feeling well from the time I got up this morning. But Had to power through. Had a lot to do. Had meetings today. Had all kinds of stuff that I had to do. So unless it's real bad, I try to just not make it anybody else's problem. I know that's not the healthiest way. But... Oh, they were incredible. I've been so fortunate over the years. Like so many artists that have just, and from all different sizes, big, small, independent, mainstream. I honestly I can count on like three fingers instances in my entire history of commissioning artists where it did not go like phenomenally. Because I tend to think that and I've said this on the stream before, the most important editorial decision is the hiring decision. Once you do that, you've picked the talent and stuff. So you just want to let the talent do what it does. Oh, that's nice. You got a stretch goal thing done. Yeah, I have to finish the Undersea Hero field guide, but that'll take an afternoon. That's just drawing a whole bunch of fish, which is easy and fun. Just pull up Google and draw that sucker, and it'll be an easy win. Oh, okay, nice. I'm hoping to go see Superman this weekend. I had people asking me if I was looking forward more to Superman or Fantastic Four, and for me, it's Superman. So hoping to go see it maybe Saturday afternoon or something. I just had a handful of people pop in, so welcome aboard. If you're here for the Undersea Hero update, it's at the very beginning of the video. And if you're just here to check stuff out, we do drawing videos every week. And like, follow, subscribe, throw in a comment, all that good stuff. So it really helps out the channel. I'm just just an artist out here, just trying to make it through the day and through the world, making drawings and paintings and doing graphic design and commercial art and all sorts of stuff. So well, I think it's finding that right balance of what you want to do and what you need to do. I've really enjoyed developing my own stuff, and I think it'll pay dividends, especially when I want to just sit down and do a story, and I don't have to throw it around, get it approved, send it through editorial process or any of that stuff and have it, torn to pieces. Like the editorial process I'll have is, I'll write the script and I'll do the thumbnails. And, if I want to, I'll hire an independent editor to go through the script to make sure it's not, indecipherable. But it's pretty much just go through it, and go and make it happen. I am probably going to switch to drawing on smaller paper for a few short stories. So. Yeah, that's true. Some people do need a hard deadline to get stuff done. Get my circle template. Hey, Jonathan, do I know David Finch? I know his work. I've met him a handful of times at shows. We tabled next to, like, diagonal from each other at Rhode Island a few years ago. That was probably the longest conversation we had was at that show. We talked about the independent book he was working on, and all kinds of stuff. So. He is, yeah, and we talked about tools a lot in our extended conversation. He asked me about like what I like to use. I asked him about his stuff. He really likes those Pasca pens that are. He uses those for kind of like the what I use the Pentel White for. Basically the same purpose. Let's see if I have my French curve sitting here. Let's do a little erasing and clean this up a little bit, shall we? We talked about storytelling. We talked about different techniques, different artists we like. Um, different approach, methodology stuff. And I saw him again at Colorado. I was out in Colorado. Spoke with him some out there. Um, when artists talk, they talk about tools. Thanks, Jonathan. It's very nice of you to say, and thanks for popping in. I don't know if you've been here before, but welcome aboard. And yeah, thank you for bringing some positive vibes. Welcome anytime. When it comes to John Carter and stuff, I always think of the Marvel series that Rudy Nebres and Ernie Colon and Gil Kane and Dave Cockrum and Mike Vosberg, and Alan Weiss, Ricardo Villamonte, all these Larry Hama drew an issue, all these terrific artists that did that book. And when I was younger, those were not expensive books. Like they were all books you could get out of the $1 bin. So being a person with not a ton of money, I bought a ton of those. It's also one of the reasons I read so much like Conan the Barbarian as a kid. My tastes were partly dictated by what I could afford and what I could afford. And I had a choice between buying one new comic or like five old dollar comics. I bought the five comics like every time. I think we're going to fill this in. We're just going to go like this. And I just want my stuff to be fun, you know. I'm not trying to draw anything that is like photorealistic. I want it to be believable, but not. I don't want anyone to look at it and say like, "Oh, he just copied a photo." To me, that would be a failure on my part for my personal work. Some people, that's what they want. And, you know, photorealism is a discipline that, you know, takes years and years of practice, but that's not what I'm going for. So this paper stock is not ideal for inking. The brushes and stuff are bleeding a bit, so we'll do our best with what we got. Well, yeah, I think you know, there's certain things that aren't really cheats. Like I know it seems like they are, but like you know, an artist like Clayton Henry has done tutorials about when he's drawing a book like The Flash, and he has all the knowledge in the world and skill in the world to spend, you know, laborious months of his life just drawing backgrounds in a Flash comic. But like, you know, when he drops them in, I don't begrudge them. That's something that when I was younger, I might have been more likely to criticize that. But you know, he's one of the best artists on the planet, and I think he just does immaculate work. Like if you see those recent color paintings that he's been doing, those watercolors, my God. The posable bases for the characters, I don't know. I mean, that's a little much for me, especially if we don't know if they can draw. And you can usually tell if they can't draw when they don't know how to place the figure, whatever. You know, it shows through. People can tell. It's like when you work with, you know, any new tool that you don't know how it works. Like you're just going to try to fake it. And people who know what they're looking at can tell the difference. I mean, I just didn't know any better. And also, like, I started at the advent of a lot of these tools, and like, I had to learn before, you know, those were things that you could just do. Yeah, trying to make it look like line art, and that's not new. Like, actually, like Neil Adams and Jim Steranko used photo backgrounds. You know, I don't think anyone would say those guys couldn't draw. My phone kept buzzing. Sorry, I had to go take a look and make sure it wasn't anything urgent. Another one of my goals when I draw stuff, I don't, you know, sometimes people say, oh, it looks like something that they're familiar with, but I don't think that my style looks like anybody that, you know, that's out there now. It's heavy on line art. It's a heavy line. And, you know, I think my form's gotten a lot better. I think in the last year, I've had some really good breakthroughs with placing forms together, especially for a fully posed figure. I think I've made some really excellent progress on some of that stuff that was really giving me a hard time for many years. And that's crazy to me that you would paste up hair because like now there are brushes in Photoshop that all you have to do is kind of like squiggle and it does beautiful hair. Um, I don't know. I just, to me, if I don't make all the elements or at least use the elements by my hand, the piece doesn't look like I drew it to me. I don't know. Let me see if I have that French curve. 1 second. Not sure if this one will do what we want it to do. No, it's got a double bend to it, which we don't want. Let's see if we can get away with just part of it. Would David Finch know my name? I don't think so. I don't think he would. Oh, thank you. That's very kind. I just want them to look nice if somebody buys them and they have them in their comic box or whatever. That's what I want. I want people to. I always want to make the comic or the piece of art that they don't want to sell, that somebody wants to keep. And I've been really lucky that like people who have supported my work, very rarely do I see it get resold. Um, I can kind of tell when a dealer's come to my booth that it's there for resale, but like um, I like knowing that people keep my work. That's a really good feeling because it's hard. Like there's limited space in a house or an apartment, like and I've had to move my collection several times in my lifetime. It's difficult, and you know I have a great deal of guilt about ever getting rid of somebody's comic, especially somebody that I know, or if somebody gave me like I've people have handed me their independently made comics at shows just so that I'd get to enjoy them, and I never want to get rid of those. But my wife's cousins have kids and they like comics, and I have no problem giving them like Amazing Spider-Man or any mainstream book, but like those indie books that people have either gifted me or I've purchased, like yeah, those are the ones that are hard, like probably the hardest for me to get rid of. I haven't gotten rid of like any of them. I've passed some along for other people to read. So rock textures are fun. Yeah, this cover for some reason didn't take ink so well. It penciled real well. It did. It penciled real nice. But it had a hard time with ink. So maybe it would be best if I get another one of these just to do a tight pencil drawing. I've seen so many great sketch covers by people. So like, if you ever see the ones that the big talented, folks like Mark Brooks and Adam Hughes have done over the years, they're just breathtaking. At an old show, I actually got to watch Bernie Wrightson do a sketch cover, and that was really cool. It was when he was doing the IDW Frankenstein Alive series, And it was just a horror sketch cover. It was like, I don't even remember what it was for, but he had one, and just with straight with a Sharpie, he drew a Frankenstein monster on it, his version with like the long hair. And I got to watch him do it, and that was incredible. And then in San Diego, I got to watch Kim Jung Gi, um, draw in person, and that was so cool. I've told this story a million times, but I was standing there and I looked around, and like guests of the convention were around me. Dave Johnson, Dan Panosian, like the best artists in the world were all stopped to watch this guy draw. So like that's how you knew you were in a good spot. I tend to draw crooked blades for these characters just because I think it's more fun. Straight metal blades. We've seen them a million times. It's I don't know. I just think it's cool. Like they're made out of stone or something. We'll go in with some white out and we'll knock out that title that's in there. Hey Patrick, how's things where you are in parts north? Is it cooler up there? Got arrested at a French fortress. Not what I had on my bingo card for tonight, Patrick. Pat Flaherty arrested at a French fortress yesterday. No, I don't think I would ever have that on my bingo card. Patrick's one of the no winnings at bingo either. Arrested and no winnings at bingo. We're gonna have to take up a collection for Patrick, I think, for his $7. We'll pass that. We'll pass the metaphoric hat around. I don't have any bail money though. They still got you at that fortress. Yeah, some of these inclines are just like the paper just kind of made them fuzzy because they're like bleeding a little bit. I don't think I've pressed down any harder or anything than I usually do, so we'll see what we can do to clean it up some. We'll draw some of our little. I forgot to put texture on some stuff down here. Those little dots, you know, you'd see them in old comics. Used them for all kinds of textures. Yeah, this paper doesn't erase too well either. It's really soft feeling. Any real life sword inspired? No, not really. I like to do kind of like they're made out of like broken material, like out of metal and stuff. You'll see once I go in with the whiteout and stuff that it's kind of like jagged. Um, I know that Dave Cockrum used to draw like a classic pirate cutlass because he used to, like the artist himself, wore like pirate boots and was into pirates and stuff. Um, Frazetta had that curved, I don't know if it was a cutlass, but it was just like a curved blade. Me and Krenkel and Williamson used to give him that. Those I just kind of make up as I go along. I think of a silhouette shape that I think would be distinct. Like if it was just held, if you only saw it flashing in sunlight or whatever, I would try to think of it as an identifying shape. That's why Deja's is a different shape, and so is Tars's is a little different shape, so that, like, each one, if you just saw, like, a blazing sword go by in a panel, you'd know, even if you didn't see the hand, whose it was. So trying to think of those storytelling elements. I did a John Carter drawing when I was in college, and I did a watercolor. Be interested to take. I haven't looked at it in many years. I'd be interested to see how it's my version has changed in the decades since that. Hey, Caleb, good to see you. Thank you. Yeah, we're trying to get this one to the finish line. What time is it? Almost 9 o'clock. We're getting there. How you doing? Everything good on your end? With your new venture and everything that's going on? Your entree into the comics that you're doing? Nice. We're all rooting for you. Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm hoping to see it on Saturday. I'm hoping to see Superman Saturday. If I gotta just go by myself, I will. Don't want to miss the new Superman. And I was always more of a Superman fan than a Batman fan in both the comics and the movies. And the cartoon. Those old Fleischer cartoons, while dated in some content, are still fun to watch. For me, they are at least. Okay. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's kind of like if you ever go to like out in the American Southwest, um, you can see the rings on the rocks. It's from like how much water they had in any given year. Whiteout pen. Yeah, it's a simple background that I've done those rocks on many occasion, or rocks very much like them. So go back in and add some more lines once we weight this out. A little too much hair. I had to give him a little bit of a haircut. Let that dry. I do have to make the decision on, I was thinking about doing a gray tonal background, but like, I also just kind of want to let it breathe. So I think I'm going to leave this sky white once I go in and finish this, this sword. Oh, I forgot to clear that part out. We'll go back in and we'll draw our lines again on the sword. Oh, thanks. Once it dries, we can shape it a little bit. Yeah, when I went into ink on there, my pen just bled, so like I had to go figure out a way to pull it back. Trying to solidify the face a little bit. The little crowns in the chat. I don't know. There are crowns? It's news to me. I know on the what is it, the Twitch stream, they got all kinds of weird emojis they drop in there. Push this back some. Darken that in a bit on the sides there. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just something from the restream where they number the comments. I'm not sure. A mystery is afoot. I'd have to ask my friend Allison. She has all of the tech answers. So I have no idea. So Let's zoom out and take a look. See if it needs anything. Our hand crank zoom. I think we're good. I think we can just let it be. We'll sleep on it. If we see anything that we need to fix in the morning, that's what it'll be. And actually, I have already picked to raffle this off, so I'll take care of that, and we'll announce the winner, and we'll get this mailed out to somebody. Sign it. And then I always, on the back of mine, because people don't know who I am, and then I also note if there's any connection to me in the book or anything. And I never worked on John Carter, but I can say at Dynamite. And then I sign it again on the back. That'd be something if I just posted 100 characters on it and just sit there attacking myself. It'd be a lot of work, but if it's fun, then go for it. Gotta enjoy the little things. We gotta find enjoyment on a regular day. But thanks everybody for coming out. That's our sketch cover, our John Carter of Mars with Tars and Deja Thoras, and yeah, it's drawn at comic book size, obviously. So thanks everybody for coming out and hanging out. Martha's, Caleb, Patrick, anybody who's left. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and enjoy your weekend. I hope to see you next week. Thanks everybody. Good night.